They call me DJ Boss Player. Got the lovely the Mori Show,
Hey,
aka
y'all.
Sugar Plug in the house.
We back.
The revolution will not be televised, but it's on your podcast right now. This is Pop Culture Revolution, aka PCR, and I'm gonna let the Maury Show introduce our very illustrious guest we have with us right now.
We have a very special guest in the building tonight. I'm super excited. So I was at the Maryland State Fair this past weekend, and our lovely guest was there on his campaign. We have tonight Mr. Clyde E. Boatwright.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
He is currently a candidate and running for Sheriff of Baltimore County. Can you explain a little bit what that looks like, what's your current position, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I'm born and raised in West Baltimore, an area called Sandtown, Winchester. For those that are not familiar with Baltimore, it's the area where when we had the civil unrest and the riots where Freddie Gray incident happened. That's the neighborhood that I was born and raised in. I actually worked at the same high school that was really close to there as the school resource officer, as people are familiar with. So I've been a police officer for the last 25 years.
Wow.
Basically just working in my community. And, there was about 5 or 6 years ago, I decided that I needed to do the things necessary to prepare myself for executive leadership and policing. Right. And so I took some of those necessary steps in preparing to run for the office of sheriff for Baltimore County. It's a county of 850,000 people. And the current sheriff has been, sheriff for the last 23 years. And he did 33 years of policing before then. And, I had a conversation with one of my mentors the other day, and I said even Michael Jordan had to walk away from basketball. So sometimes there's, it's not about what the current sheriff is doing wrong. It's about all the things that I can do right in policing. And, I'm a guy that has skin in the game. Right. And I know we're going to get into some of those topics, but, I know what's actually going on in policing in the state of Maryland.
We absolutely love that. And I'm super excited that you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think it's super amazing to have somebody in the field that's willing to sit down with us, talk to the community, because there's such a divide going on right now. And a lot of people are just, they just don't have the knowledge.
Yes.
So that's what we're here, is to just give people the correct information. The revolution will not be televised, but it's on your podcast.
Hey.
Yeah, so
I like it.
So can you tell us a little bit about the process of running for sheriff, and just a brief little background of what that looks like? Once you decide, now I want to run for sheriff, how does that work?
So it's interesting for positions like the office of sheriff and state's attorney and county executive and positions of trust. There are a number of different steps that you have to take outside of forming a campaign committee. So what I did back in January, I formed a exploratory committee to see if it was even feasible or the right position for me to run for. I wanted to get in a political office, and that campaign committee, met with the residents. They had these discussions all around the county, and it was clear and evident that folks in the county wanted change. So I felt, with my background, I presented that, in the form of a town hall to many people who listened and tuned in. And, we talked about the duties and responsibilities of sheriff. And after we gathered all that data and that information, we made the decision that it was time to move forward. And so how that looks, you have to, file your candidacy. Mm-hmm. You have to file, first, you don't get to file your candidacy until after you form a committee with the State Board of Elections. And then you file your candidacy at the local county board of elections. So just recently, I think a week or two ago, I actually went to file for official candidacy to appear on the ballot.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that process, it's you pay $25, but you can't get on the ballot unless you conduct like a ethics forum. And if you notice, in recent years, some of the politicians that have gotten in trouble, it's usually because of things that they put on or they leave off of their ethics form. So that's one of the most important things that you have to do. And one of the big conversations is ensuring that any gift that you received over $100, you have to list it.
Okay.
So it's things like that. So, you just have to make sure that you file it, and it's due every April. So from now on, because now I'm a candidate, I have to do this before the 26th of April of every year. So it's just things like that. And then getting out to the people. I mean, our county is so big. I just talked about the 850,000 people. But just trying to get to every community is really, really the challenging part, especially when you're working a full-time job.
Right. Right, because you're still on the force, so you're
Yes,
still
yes,
working
yes. Still an
full-time.
active duty police officer right now.
That is amazing.
And still running for office. Yes, yes.
All right, I absolutely love that. So, first, before we get into the meat and the juice of it all, I just want to tell people, when is voting day? I think that's so important that we know right away, when do we vote?
Yeah, so June 23rd of 2026 is the Democratic primary. I'm a Democratic candidate in Baltimore County, and, that's the election day. Of course, folks will get to vote by mail if they choose to get a mail-in ballot, and then we will have a period of early voting as well leading up to Election Day. And so, I'm asking everyone to, vote for Clyde Boatwright in Baltimore County for sheriff. And as I'm telling people, if you leave in the ballot box and you didn't vote Boatwright, you didn't do it right.
You ain't do it right.
That's
I know
what
that's
I'm
right.
about.
I heard that. Okay, so can you just tell me a little bit about what is the community saying when you're out there? Because you've held the town hall. So what is it that Baltimore County is saying that they'd like to see within the sheriff's office or sheriff's department? What would they like to see more? What are some of their concerns? And then what are the things you're doing to combat that, I guess?
So I'm glad you said it the way that you did when you said sheriff's office and then sheriff's department. So there is a difference, and a lot of people don't know that. The difference between a sheriff's office, it's because it's the office held by an elected person. Most people see in like down south and as you go west, the sheriff is the primary law enforcement agency for that jurisdiction, where we in like Baltimore County have a county police department. There are a number of sheriff's offices in the state of Maryland out of the 24 jurisdictions that I can think of: Charles County, Carroll County, Harford County, and some of the counties out in Western Maryland, that the sheriff's office is the primary police department. And so they answer 911 calls, where in Baltimore County, the sheriff's office is a little bit different. The primary responsibility for the sheriff's office is to secure the courthouse. And right now, because of manpower issues, that's kind of what they are limited to. But I want to expand that role. And to answer your question, that's what I'm hearing from the residents. The residents want to see more from the sheriff's office. They want to see more engagement. They want to see more participation in community events, to get in the game. Right now, there is not necessarily a robust participation. There's not robust participation by the sheriff's office in the actual crime fight against some of the things that's going on in our county. And, I have an old saying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so, so we got to get the sheriff's office to the table.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that's wonderful. So when we met, we spoke about how the sheriff's office is closed on Sunday. And then so we talked about how that affects like domestic violence.
Sure.
Court orders that go out and people are not being served in a timely manner. And that's actually something that happened to me. I had a peace order against somebody and 3 weeks went by. I went to court. I showed up. I took off work. I paid people to be to work for me that day. And I got up there and they're like, this person has not been served. So do you want to return to court or not? And I'm like, well, something could have happened to me in all this time and they didn't even know. And they're running wild. And, there's nothing that could have been done. So I know that was one of the things you said.
That's actually my top priority, and when for my campaign is to have a sheriff's office that is visible, accessible, and accountable. And pillar 2 of that being accessible is you have to be open past 5 p.m. And so right now, if you were to Google the Baltimore County Sheriff's Office, here we are late in the evening, it's closed. And I did that on Sunday with you as a test. So we're going to have a 24-hour operation where I'll give you an example of how the process goes for someone to get served. Depending upon what area of the county you're in, if you go to before a judge and you get a court order for a protective order or domestic violence order or extreme risk, we call it ERPO, extreme risk protective order, where someone has a firearm, that order has to be hand delivered to that police precinct, and then you have to pull the county police officer off the street and off of 911 calls to have that person now come into the station, pick up that order, and then go serve it. But if the officer responsible for that area has a car accident or he's dealing with an arrest or something else happens, then that protective order takes second fiddle to whatever they're dealing with. And so sometimes they don't get to them. So my proposed change is, once that court order is issued, then our deputies are going to go out without any restrictions or any holdup. We're going to go out and we're going to serve that protective order immediately. Okay. So because people are seeking refuge from someone, whether it's just domestic violence or it is just a regular peace order.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
I had a question about the street level, because I hear people saying, the main media story is that crime in Baltimore has gone down. Mm-hmm. The stats say it's at a low for I don't know how many
50 years,
50-year low.
Yeah.
Then I heard people saying, "Oh, those stats are inaccurate. They're not taking account of minors or something like that." Mm-hmm. And I just want to know, from you being on the actual streets at a street level there every day, what is crime looking like to you in Baltimore right now?
So I'll say, our mayor has done a good job offering programs and services. The programs and services also encompass having more people who have their ear to the ground, that are from the streets, that have relationships on the streets, working hand in hand with the mayor's office, and not necessarily working with the police department, but working hand in hand to stop some of the beefs on the street. The second part of that, and there's three prongs. The second part, which is really important, is we have a state's attorney that is now in office, and he's actually doing the job of a state's attorney. He's prosecuting cases. So if the police department brings him a case, he's taking it to trial. He's not allowing people to go back on the street and reoffend. Okay. So I will say, in the city of Baltimore, we would have 300 murders, but we didn't have 300 killers. It was the same people doing these killings over and over. Okay. And so what we've had to finally focus on is our repeat violent offenders. Another reason why the murder rate has gone down is our police officers. Our police officers are now tactically trained combat medics. I see it on the street every night. When we have a shooting, our police officers are cutting clothes. They're using tourniquets. They're using chest seals. They're packing wounds and getting people to Maryland Shock Trauma or Johns Hopkins Hospital, which is one of the premier trauma centers, where in the past, we would just say, hold on, wait for a medic, because we didn't have the tools available or the training to actually to try to give people a fighting chance. So our police officers, I've seen it, and I've seen it work with CPR. I've seen it work with the tourniquets. I've seen it work with those chest seals. It is actually saving lives.
That's wonderful, man, and I'm glad. So you would say crime is going down?
I would say it is. I would say it is, because we're now locking up the right people. And the repeat violent offenders are, rather than you get caught with a handgun and you have already had 2 prior handgun charges, with you coming straight back home to get another handgun and get arrested again. Those days are over. Our state's attorney in the city of Baltimore, if you're a repeat violent offender and you're prohibited from having a firearm, he's asking that you be detained. And the judges are detaining people.
Yeah, my next question, and there's no easy answer to this question. I'm fully aware. But I know I've been detained by police unlawfully. I've been handcuffed, right. And I didn't do anything wrong. And we've seen, the media has obviously chronicled police brutality, so many different instances. Sure. CNN, somebody getting beat up, killed, George Floyd. Yeah. If you were sheriff, what would you do to help combat that situation?
So it's about training. It's about ensuring that your people understand not to violate people's rights. You have to communicate. Again, being an active duty cop, if I'm going to stop someone, I'm going to explain to them what's going on. Hey, listen, bruh, I'm stopping you for this reason. We got a call. A guy, 6'6", dark skin with a beard, had a handgun.
That sounds like me, man.
It looks like you, right? I'm not just stopping you.
Oh, no, I did it.
Right. And look.
That's how it be looking sometimes. I swear. But that's serious because it's like, you fit the description or somebody gave a tip and then, like, I'm witnessing this. So they give a tip and it's just like, oh, well, it's got to be you. And so we look at the police like, are you actually doing your job? Because it's like the investigations, and when we're talking, because like you said, the state attorney now, and it's not just in Baltimore, it's in different counties, it's throughout Maryland, it's the whole administration going on right now. There's no, he's trying to get rid of cash bail. So nobody's getting bailed out of jail on heavy charges. But it's like, at what point is there accountability for okay, so you did a horrible investigation. I don't know what level that's at, where they get the tips and then they start looking into the crimes. But then now there's false arrests being made, right? And then now you're, like you said, you're being detained. The prosecutor is going to detain you because they don't want these people back on the streets. But okay, if the evidence doesn't line up and all of this and all that, and it's like, maybe y'all had the wrong person. Like, how does that? At what point? Where does that accountability fall? Because
so there's understanding the law. So a police officer needs reasonable suspicion, reasonable, articulable suspicion to stop you. But in order to charge you, you need probable cause.
Right.
So there's two standards. That's a national standard. And so the description I just gave you is cause for me to stop you. All right. Hey, I'm going to let you go. Once I make sure that you don't have any weapons on you, I'm going to conduct a weapons pat down and I'm going to give you a stop receipt. Just basically saying that I stopped you and the length of the time. It's all being captured on our body camera. So I'm not violating your rights. You're protected. I'm protected. And then you're going to be on your way. But if you have a firearm, you could very well have a firearm. Yeah, I do have a gun. I'm a concealed carry permit holder. Okay, do me a favor. I'm going to place you in handcuffs and I'm going to ask you where your concealed carry permit is because I want to make sure that I'm safe because my whole goal is to go home. Just get my car at the end of this shift and go home. All right, I'm going to place you in handcuffs. All right, my fault. For detaining you so long, you have all of the correct paperwork. Please get home safe. Please get to your next destination. That's what we do when
You're a nice
doing
cop.
it. Well, we're doing it, but however, you have to be, you have to meet people where they are because if I come at you all the way up here, I have nowhere else to go.
Right.
So I have to come here and then escalate as the behavior, based off of how you interact with me is how I interact with you. And,
you're saying that's on the condition that there's probable cause. Then you would detain them. And
probable cause for arrest to charge.
Okay.
Reasonable suspicion is just for the stop.
Okay. Reasonable suspicion. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I have another question. I've always wanted to know, say something that we wouldn't know about being a cop, that only a cop would know that this is part of the job.
The fact that, your primary goal is to make sure that everybody you encounter walk away, whether it's in handcuffs, whether they're going back to their cars and going on about their life. I don't go into any day wanting to have to take someone's life or take someone's freedom, but we get called on people's worst day. And so we have to have the understanding that, hey, I might not know what's going on in your life. And so, but I'm being called here for a reason. Right. And so as I'm getting here, you're giving me all this aggression. That's fine. Yeah. But I'm being called here for a reason. So our mindset is to go home. Our mindset is to make sure everyone is safe.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we have some great topics to talk about. We're really happy to have you.
Sure.
You're the perfect guest for this.
Yeah, let's go. Let's talk.
First we wanted to talk about the Trump takeover of D.C., as we already know. I think it was August 11th.
It's coming to Baltimore.
Yeah, it's coming about. We're going to talk about Baltimore too. We're going to talk about DC, and then we're going to go to Baltimore. So we're going to talk about all of it. Trump, sent the National Guard to DC. Muriel Bowser signed the executive order going along with it. You know what I'm saying? And the Washington Post says 80% of the citizens in DC are against it, but it's still going on. They got ICE agents going around detaining folk, arresting them, taking them away. As a police officer, what are your first thoughts about this?
So there's a number of things. I try to tell people now that I'm into politics as a candidate, I have to be leery about polls when someone's polled and they start giving me percentages, because, when you conduct a poll and you pay for a poll, you can narrow that poll down to select certain people. You can select certain demographics. You can select African Americans between the age of 35 and 45 that live in the east part of northeast or south. What is the famous part of DC? Southeast. Yeah. You can target your poll to whatever demographics you want. And a lot of, organizations, they do polling knowing the desired goal. And I had to find this out as getting into politics. And so my first initial reaction is there is some truth to some of our leaders and elected officials playing politics against one party versus the other. And so, again, I'm a card-carrying registered Democrat. Been Democrat my whole life. First time I voted was for Bill Clinton back in '96.
Oh, cool.
And so, but there is both sides. I see some of our leaders that are elected officials that'll say that, we got to take this position, and we're forgetting about the people that it's impacting. The people that it's impacting is primarily people of color, people that are in, minority communities where they see the disproportionate numbers of people being killed. And so let's not move it as a political football. Let's actually stop the killing. Let's make an agreement that we're going to target the people that are terrorizing our communities, as opposed to let's terrorize a particular party. And as when we get to that point, when we attack people that set out every day, because whether we know it or not, there are people that wake up and say, I'm going to rob somebody today.
Oh, yes, there is.
and when they rob them, and if he give me resistance, I'm a pop. I'm a do this and I'm gonna do that, because they think it's Grand Theft Auto. They think that they can respawn in another part of this town. But when you kill somebody, it's over. It's over. So we have to take serious for those that make the decision. And again, this is not something new. Crime goes back to biblical days. Absolutely. If you read the Bible, it's a lot of crime and violence in the Bible. Yes. So with that, it's not something new. There are always going to be good factions and they're always going to be bad. It's how do you respond to either side? And so the decision to militarize people, and again, I have a different perspective than maybe some of my coworkers feel. I don't want people who have urban combat training, urban policing. Why? Because there are different mandates that we have as a police officer to for de-escalation and the way that we engage people. Those are mandatory trainings that we take. And look, I love my brothers and sisters and friends and family members that are serving our country. I love them and respect them. But urban policing is different than urban warfare training. Those that are on the reserves, that's Kenny from like I said in the call, that's Kenny from Radio Shack. That's James from Chipotle on the weekends,
on the National Guard.
And now he's in fatigues with an AR-15 walking up and down the street. So, I no, but we're not saying that to disparage them. They're trained to stop civil disturbances. They do have that training for riots and things like that. But they're also trained soldiers. I think we need our soldiers to protect us from our enemies, foreign and domestic. That's what the title says. But what are we doing to support our local police officers that are out there just trying to do the job? Let's increase the recruiting. Let's increase the retention, because that's one of the things that we fight for. We fight for a better pension. We fight for better pay. That's my role as the union president. These are the things that we're fighting for. Let's up that stuff, and then maybe we'll stop having this recruitment problem and this retention problem where more people will become police.
Yeah, and what were you going to say more?
I was going to say, because you often hear so we have them stationed in DC, right? There's a lot of protests going on. There's a lot of people fighting against it. So I just thought of how people say defund the police. Mm-hmm. So what does it look like? Where are the funds being allocated to in the police departments when they are being funded? And then also, what does it look like if we were to defund the police? If the people got what they wanted and the police got defunded, what does that look like? What are people really even asking for?
You're asking for anarchy if you're if you're a person that's talking about defund the police, because then if the police don't have resources, in order to protect you. Look, I fought against folks saying that for a number of years because I want people to say what they really, really mean. They don't want to defund police. They want to defang the police. They want to take the police's power from them. Right. And so, we have to have someone that stands in the gap between those folks that are good and those that want to commit bad things. Right. That's what the whole law enforcement, that's what it's created for, to be the person to stand in the gap. Have we had police officers that have disgraced the badge? And yes, we have. But it's important for us as a community to find those people and get them out of our profession. Mm-hmm. Anybody that decides that they want to hurt or harm members of our community, we got to get rid of them. And if they are violating the law, we got to put them in jail. That's just the way it is, because they are not police. They're not representing what we all have sworn an oath to take care of.
Right. Have you come into contact with some of those like bad cops for say, and it's like these are your peers? So as a peer to some of them, like what are those interactions like? Like if if you're on the everyday working with them, or like say for instance, if I'm at a job and I'm just a cashier and I witness my coworker stealing money, like it's kind of like that. So what do you do when you witness somebody that's maybe not upholding the standards that they should be?
So when we talk about standards, there are policies and procedures, and as a supervisor, it's up to me to be the parent. Mm-hmm. If I see somebody stepping outside of policy and procedures of the organization, it's my job to address it. Mm-hmm. When I'll give you, a little background. There used to be a conversation and a discussion that, if there's a bad cop, that our good cops need to turn them in. Well, the streets talk. And so when the streets say that so-and-so is a bad cop, then you kind of look at them funny to see how they interact with people. Mm-hmm. But like I told someone, I said, bad cops are not going to do those negative things in front of people that they know they're going to turn them in. Mm-hmm. So there's a different dynamic of how they may act outside of me, because they know. I'll tell you quick, don't do anything that would lead you to believe that I am going to lie for you.
Right.
It's not. I'm not. Because why?
I'm not vouching for you. Sorry.
I can't live with you. My family, we can't pack up and live in your house.
Right.
So no, don't fool yourself that, it's okay. But as a police leader, and there's someone that's trying to get into executive leadership, that's trying to lead a force of 100, around 100 deputies, they have to understand, and everybody has to understand, the community has to understand that when I'm entrusted with leading that group of people, that if somebody is found to have violated the law and or violated people under my command, that I'm going to address it. And what we've had over the years, if we've had people that have not necessarily gave their all, and that's, I know that's another topic, but we'll talk about the LEOBR and Police Accountability Act that we have in Maryland and things like that. That's how we got to these days, because people, in some cases, did not address the people when they had an opportunity to.
Okay.
And there is a middle ground, We all know how wild DC was before this takeover. Like, I just picture a teenager hopping up on the hood of a car with an M16 pointed at the driver, like they used to say, just roll your windows down because they ain't gonna smash the window and break into your car. You know what I mean? It's just understood that was gonna happen if you park on certain streets in DC. So there clearly was a problem, and juveniles definitely seem to be out of control. But is the way Trump doing it really a solution for that? Or is it just political optics or another type of game he's playing?
So I haven't followed DC as much recently, but leading up to that, my Twitter account, well, X, I don't want to, my social media would blow up.
We calling her by her first name, Twitter.
Yeah. So my Twitter would blow up with, juveniles at the Navy Yard. And I live in Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, juvenile disturbance at the Navy Yard. And then when you click on it, you just see packs and roving packs of juveniles running through the streets. And look, for them, this is fun and games. For young people, they don't really understand the consequences of what they're doing. And you have to have people in place. Like, for the last couple of years, I worked in Baltimore City where we had nighttime juvenile engagement. And we've seen the areas where we had packs of juveniles significantly decline. Why? Because of communication, because of identify 'em. If I get out and say, "Hey, John, how you doing, John? You going to school, John?" If you keep calling their name, they can be like, "Oh man, right
here he go. He know me.
Right, he know me.
That's
right.
my uncle. This aunt."
And then the little girls will come up, "Hey, Boatwright, how you doing? Hey, y'all not fighting, are you? Y'all not down here?
Right.
No, we not down here to fight. We just trying to hang out. All right, as long as y'all hanging out, y'all good.
Right.
But the minute y'all fighting, we shutting it down." So having those kind of relationships and building that trust with people, it goes both ways.
Okay, so let's talk about Baltimore.
Sure.
We love to talk about Baltimore, and that's where you're from. That's where you grew up. Over 25 years of policing. Trump says he's going there next. He's been pretty adamant about it. Westmore put his foot down. He said National Guard is Maryland National Guard. I'm not sending them in there. Mayor Scott's totally in agreement with Westmore. If you could it seems like it's already getting better, but if you could address the crime in Baltimore, first of all, is it the way Trump is depicting it? But also, let's start there. Is it the way Trump is depicting?
So I don't know where he's getting his statistics from, but like I said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Look, could we use federal help? Yes. Let's bring better cases against the people that are still left here that are terrorizing. But I don't want to. I don't think that you can totally eradicate something by having a over response. And so if we've seen significant declines. I'm not even 50 years old, and I know the crime and violence that I grew up as a teenager in the 1990s, where I saw, 350 people killed in our city. I saw the spike from 2015 through 2022, and I policed during that time, where we were seeing 350 murders per year. And people were really so I don't want to celebrate. 91 murders in the city of Baltimore, because I know one of those 91 families, a personal friend of mine. So just have it. So that's nothing to shake the pom-poms for and be excited about, because we still have 91 families that were terrorized, and their new way forward, their new now. That's their new reality, is their family was impacted by gun violence. So if we can have a time where there's no murders, then we can shake the pom-poms and say, job well done. So I think that we should accept any resources we can get. However, I don't want to see our communities over-policed. And there could be a way that it is over-policed if you bring in the wrong elements.
So when you say over police, because I just think about how people are saying people would see all of this police presence and they kind of just go into hiding. Like, why would I be out on the street during now? And I know you're only going to be here for 30 days or however long you're here for. So when you over police the area, like what do you see? I guess out in the streets, like what does it look like?
So that's one of the questions. If I was doing a poll in Washington, D.C., since you've had it for 30 days, I would go to the Chamber of Commerce of the businesses to see how their businesses are impacted in those communities that have these National Guard troops in there. Because if your bottom line is, in order to be safe, you in order to make a successful business, you have to be safe. But if you have now an occupying, force of military there, and you're not making any money, was the juice worth the squeeze?
Yes.
And so I think that's what we need to look at these local chamber of commerce to see if their business is thriving. So if we're now starting to see your commerce and foot traffic increase, then we can say, all right, crime's down, and now we're starting to see people come out of their houses. But since COVID, people have retreated into their homes, and they don't come out as much. Let's look at the local movie theaters. Let's look at the malls. Malls are closing. Our traditional shopping malls are closing. People are just ordering stuff online and staying home.
Right. I can definitely understand that, because in the beginning people were like, oh, okay, this is the safest I ever felt being in DC. My car's not getting broken into, I'm not getting robbed. I'm not getting carjacked. Right. But at the same time, it's like you have the other side. People are like, well, I'm not going in DC because there's a checkpoint Like, I don't want to even be part of the checkpoint in the metro. Everybody's being ID'd. You can't even come upstairs. Like, they don't even let you you could go back on the train if you're under 18. You understand? So, but even as an adult over that age, like, people don't want to deal with that. I don't want to run into and be in.
But let's take it from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. If you were, I don't know if you guys are fans of the Washington Nationals. I see your hat.
Yeah, I got the hat.
I saw your hat. That's why I'm bringing up the Nationals or the Redskins. Can I call them the Redskins down here?
Yes, you can.
All right. Oh, the Redskins.
Yes.
So even though I'm a fan of the best team in football, of the Baltimore Ravens,
here we go.
Before I go into
you lucky
the
we're
stadium,
not playing you this year. We only had you in the preseason.
But you saw what happened to you last year when it counted, right?
All right.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we play y'all again, man.
Well, 3 more years.
I might have to call you.
Okay, all right.
We have to talk about it.
All right, we have to bet a crab cake on that.
okay.
Yeah.
There it
is. Yeah. So if you go into Raul John Coliseum or whatever the stadium is called now in Prince George's County, where you want to be so close to Baltimore with this team, but no. So I know I'm going to offend people.
Engineer got something to say.
No, but if you go into the stadium in Prince George's County, you have to go through a checkpoint. If you go into MCI Center, you have to go through a checkpoint. When I go to Ravens games, I can't take my firearm in there. I have to show a ticket, and I go through security in the checkpoint. I'm saying that because never in the history of our nation have we been under so much surveillance, from drones to cameras on poles, to every business you walk in, you are under surveillance. So for people that feel like, that Big Brother's watching, that is because we have people that want to do us harm as a country. There are terrorists that want to hurt Americans just because of our Western values. Mm-hmm. And so we saw what happened. We're coming up on another anniversary of 9/11. We saw what happened in 9/11, how it impacted people here. We have to understand that we are constantly under surveillance. And so I feel like if I'm going to go through a checkpoint, if I've done nothing wrong, I have no reason to not show my ID. Not saying that I want to do that, but I'm going to this business because I've done nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Now, wait a minute. Because Boss Player's friend, his coworker.
I was just about to bring. Let me tell you about this.
Yeah,
sure. Let's talk.
I'll paint a picture. This is my friend at my job. He's from Southeast DC. He still lives there. Okay, but he's a good guy. He doesn't have a record. Like he's got a security clearance out of my government job. So you can't have a record and get that.
Correct.
So he's as straight as they come. But he's already been pulled over twice. First time, they pulled him over and arrested him for his tints, and he had to spend 6 hours in jail.
Arrested?
And
tinted windows?
Tinted windows. Arrested him, put him in jail for tinted windows. Missed 6 hours of work. Almost missed the whole day. So then the second time they just ransacked his car, searched through his whole car, and they found nothing.
So tinted windows in the state of Maryland. Where did this happen?
This was in D.C.
Oh, so I don't know D.C. law, so I really can't comment on that. But that's not an arrestable offense in our state.
Yeah.
You can't arrest someone for having tinted windows. You can give them a work repair order and order them to take the tint off, but we can't, physically arrest you.
And the front windows were clear, and the back windows, he said, are about 35%. And it's on a sedan.
Wow.
So it's like they're being petty, man. That's what some people don't realize what's going on in D.C. right now. They're being very petty.
Who made that? What agency made that arrest?
I tried to ask. I forgot to ask him. Somebody told me to ask him. I forgot to ask.
Yeah, that's important because there are, as we get into how police discipline is, there are avenues of redress where you can, if you feel like you're violated, especially in the state of Maryland, you can file your complaint, have your complaint investigated, and those are some of the things that we had changed back in 2021 in the state of Maryland.
Okay, that sounds good, man. This whole situation, I'm an American Studies major at University of Maryland, College Park. Go Terps.
Go Terps.
Yeah.
Big Terps fan.
Oh, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, football, basketball, let's go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We had to talk about that too, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we study a lot of legal cases and things of that nature in my major, and it's civil rights and things like that. And they brought up the issue of law and order with Nixon. And I was like, this is reminding me of Law and Order with Nixon, where they said he ran on the platform of Law and Order because there was too much crime, and he's going to eradicate the crime in the country and be a firm hand in the presidential office. But it was really just optics in a way to funnel people into prisons, And then Reagan carried it even further with the war on drugs, and he even introduced some drugs into these neighborhoods and then prosecuted some of these guys for selling the drugs that they gave them. And it's set into motion a lot of the problems we have in the African American community to this day. All the crack babies, whole crack era, all that stuff, came from our own government. And some people don't even know this or think this is a conspiracy theory. I say all this to say, is this 2025? Same soup reheated with a different president. You know what I mean?
So I don't think so. I think back to when the crack epidemic hit in the 80s. So let's go back a little bit further. When you hear about the projects, I'm thinking about the projects in Baltimore City, the housing projects. Those houses were built to receive soldiers coming home from war. That was the goal of building projects. And so what we started to see is when the houses were vacant, that's when they started to do subsidized housing for people that are on public assistance. All right. As those folks were on public assistance, then you started to see what traditionally is called the nuclear family. You had the mother, father, and the children, right? But then there was a goal to eradicate the nuclear family by saying, in order for you to have public assistance, you can't have a man in the home.
Yeah.
And so that goes back. So now we've introduced crack into it. And then you had people that were hooked on crack as users, and you had people that were selling crack just to get their high. And so they started to go to jail and get arrested for selling crack. And so the whole war on drugs thing, it destroyed our community.
Yeah.
Because if you look back, the most prevalent drug now for drug users, one of the most prevalent drugs is heroin. I mean, you have the people that use pills, but heroin. If you look back to the 1970s, heroin was a social drug that only the rich could get. Only rich people could get that, and they would shoot heroin and do that. But then it evolved to people having that dependency because, crack was, you can get crack quick and you can get high, and then the high is over and you're right back there trying to get some more. So just looking at that history, you asked the question, is this the same soup reheated? In what context? Because look, we do have an issue with people that are using synthetic drugs. We have an issue with people that are using pills, that are dependent on pills. And some people have their pill dependency based off of sometimes an accident, a car accident, or whatever they had. They get, issued a narcotic, and then they become dependent on that. So with the opioid abuse, there are certain communities that have been experiencing overdose for 20 years. And now it's expanded to other communities, and now you're starting to see more of a push to try to combat opioid abuse. So I would look at it like from a broader perspective, and to see who is it impacting, to determine whether or not this is the same soup reheated.
I think the particular context that was all great, very eloquent. The particular context I was talking about right now is a president using optics and a war on crime with an ulterior motive.
So I am, not a I am not. I want to say this. I'm not a person that doesn't look to see both sides, and I'm not here to apologize or speak for the president at all. But his optics is saying to us, you're telling me it's a problem. I'm the president. I'm going to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's his position. And I don't know if that's necessarily the right position, because some of that data is old. I mean, you're now Baltimore 5 years ago, we needed this during the first presidency, more of an attack on our criminal justice issue but now if we notice the difference, the mayor has invested time. Mayor Brandon Scott has invested time and resources in communities. He's building rec centers. He's opening pools. Rec centers are staying open. All stuff that people necessarily didn't think was going to be the best thing, but it's now starting to bear fruit. We're looking at the numbers now a couple of years later. We now have Ivan Bates in office, who is now getting to the nitty gritty of who are our repeat violent offenders. Let's target them. Hey, if you want to get out the game, here's some resources. You want to continue to thug and be on the street? Then we're going to put you away. So with those two people rowing in the same direction, that's why we're starting to see a safer city.
Okay.
I
want to really touch on because I'm rooting for your win.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to know, so you're elected, right? What's your next move?
First is going to be to stand up that 24-hour domestic violence unit and address the recruitment and retention issue. And deal with our juvenile justice issue. Those things are very prevalent in our community, and it's because there's no plan. There's no plan to address it. I could talk to you a little bit about what I plan to do is, if you guys are familiar with in high schools, they have the ROTC program.
Yeah.
All right. So I want a criminal justice / public safety type of program in our local high schools that experiences our young people to, if you want to be a paramedic, a EMT, firefighter, police officer, forensics person to take crime scene photos, CSI type person, if you want to be a police dispatcher, you can do all of those things and you can get those certifications and experience at the high school level. So the minute that you graduate, you can become a cadet and start working at that local police department or that local fire department in their program. So the minute you turn 20 in 6 months, you're right into the academy. What does that do? That one, it gives the young people a career field to look forward to. 2, it keeps them out of trouble. 3, they learn responsibility. 4, it basically gives us our bench as police officers. It gives us, if you're talking a sports term, there's a bullpen where people are sitting out in the bullpen ready to get in the game. Those are our people that's ready to get in the game. We address our recruitment and retention issue because we now have people that are in the pipeline ready to come up. We're now not at job fairs saying, hey, come work for us. Right. We already have those people coming up. Right. And so we can address those things and then they can now see their peers because you know what? Everybody wants to be a part of something cool. And so everybody doesn't want to, so when you expose them to other avenues, such as this is what a sheriff does versus what a police officer does. This is what an attorney does in a courtroom. So now you're now being exposed. And exposure is the big key. I see so many police officers go and work another job for 5 to 10 years, and then they want to come and become police officers when they get close to 30 years old. Mm-hmm. Where if we had them immediately at 21, they will be 10 years more seasoned, and we would have had a vacancy that we didn't have. We would have had a vacancy filled that we didn't have because we had that person in place.
Right. The streets are dead. And I think that a lot of young people need to understand that it's only leading down one path. So, they need to stay educated. And like you said, it's kind of like make it cool to be not that it's cool to be a police officer, but you're really doing your part in the community. You're really like advocating for people. And, we just need more people that's on the side of good. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely with that. And I just want to ask, how can we get involved? Because election isn't until next year. So what can we do just to make sure that we get you to the finish line?
Yeah, I ask everyone to go to, www.boatwrightforsheriff.com. You can see some of our plans there. It's a very interactive website where you can leave your information. You can join our mailing list. You can know about the events that we have coming up. You can try to, you can donate. You can, because, elections take money. What's going to happen is, I might be upsetting the apple cart with some of the things that I'm saying. It might be a little bit too good. And they're like, no, we can't let him get in office. Then it's going to show that, we're not doing what we want to do. So I don't, my plans are big because, I want to make sure that our next generation have a fighting chance. But giving them the exposure that they need is some of the things that, we have to focus on. And so I ask everyone, if you go to www.boatwrightforsheriff.com, you can get involved. You can help us spread this message. You can help us raise money. Because, it's going to take money to win this election. It's a big county. We got a lot of signs to buy. We got a lot of, radio ads and TV ads and all of those things to buy to win this election. So I'm just asking for everyone to get behind us.
You got my vote.
Yeah.
You should be police commissioner, bro.
I was going to say, I want to see you go higher. I want to see you go higher, most definitely.
So we're very thankful for future Sheriff Clyde Boatwright coming through.
Thank you.
And we just got to shout out our businesses real quick. Once again, my name is DJ Boss Player. You can book me anytime. Celebrity A-list DJ, all types of stuff. It'll be the greatest party of your life. DJBossPlayer.com. And make sure you get our merch on our show website, PCRshow.com. Join the revolution.
Yes, and you can find me, Moriana, at the Sugar Plug. I am the DMV's best baker and just community activist. I'm a baker and a freedom fighter, so I do it all. I'm in the field. You can find me at Sugar Plug on Instagram.
All right. Well, thanks, y'all. Same bad time, same bad channel next week. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.